Bruce Springsteen gave the keynote at the 2012 South by Southwest Festival. You can read all 12 pages of the transcript on the internet, but that's a lot of pages, so we'll help you get the picture. GMR's Tim Reynolds was on hand to create Sketchnotes and harness the power of creativity Bruce talked about. We got up early, even though Bruce was sure every musician in Austin was still asleep. But this year's keynote doesn't think there's a key. Pop is divided along 1,000 different genres, no unified theory. Some say voice of the common man, hardest working New Jerseyan in show business, or you suck. So there's no unified theory. There were 10,000 bands in Austin, but when Bruce started there weren't even that many guitars to go around. They hadn't made that many yet. The real change, though, is how pop became a new language, cultural movement, social movement, fulfilling the prophecy of Danny and the Juniors when they sang rock and roll is here to stay. Pop music is still a joyous argument starter, and all the genres he lists, alt rock, metal, rockcore, noise pop, indie pop, synth pop, medieval metal, sadcore, folk punk, scream emo, swab pop, and about 42 others that end with Nintendo core. Oh, and rock and roll. Somehow, it was all happening in Austin at the same time. Bruce echoed another prophecy made by Lester Bangs in 1977 that Elvis was probably the last thing we would all agree on. So we're back to no unified theory, except for the power of creativity and the purity of human expression that can never be confined to computers, guitars, microchips. Even if we live in a post-authentic world, there's no right way of doing it, just doing it. Bruce's influences came through a little radio with a 6-inch mono speaker that sat atop his refrigerator as a child. He heard doo-wop, the most sensual music ever made. The late 50s and early 60s with untucked shirts, running mascara, the sound of raw sex that hurt so good. But it was Elvis who gave us a new language. Television and Elvis, really, that gave us a new language, a new way of being American. On the mono radio came the romantic apocalypse of Roy Orbison, the coolest uncool loser Bruce had ever seen, with paranoid titles like It's Over and Running Scared. Roy's opera gave way to Phil Spector's symphonies, the wall of sound summed up in the song He Hit Me and It Felt Like a Kiss. But the real revelation was that he could play every song he's ever written, and it was just one song, We've Got to Get Out of This Place by the Animals, who created the first albums with full-blown class consciousness and the first band that was legitimately ugly. Tunes like Badlands, Born to Run, Born in the USA, everything had echoes of the Animals. But Bruce could bring it night after night. He learned from Sam Moore and James Brown that you had to learn how to bring it live. But this afternoon at South by Southwest, Bruce asked the question that Hank Williams asked before him, why your bucket has a hole in it. For a guy who is heir to the tradition yet loves the tossed-off feel of pop hits and big noise to be just another guy in a city full of 10,000 bands? To stand up and say it's only rock and roll, but treat it like it's all we have, it felt like modern advice in a post-authentic world, or a prophecy of rock and roll. But maybe to some it was, that sucked. Because we can't agree on anything except Elvis and the power of creativity.